Hey everyone, Chris the Thrift Shop Hustler here with another What Sold on eBay video for you today. This is actually going to be an awesome one. This is the one that I do once a month where we're going to go over the top 10 things sold. And what I mean by that is the top 10 items sold for the most amount of money. So these are going to be the big buck items in the month of April 2019 that have sold on eBay. Once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. If you're new to the channel, definitely go down there, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and anytime during this video, click the like button. That definitely helps out a lot. Hope everyone had an amazing week. It is Friday, and it was kind of funny. I should have actually done this video a couple days ago, but I totally forgot, and then noticed that I was looking at some of the sales that were sold today, and I'm like, man, I should probably make one of these videos. So here I am. It is Friday. I hope you are doing very well. We got Super Sunshine Thrifter in the house. Hello from sunny Orlando, Florida. Now, I've never been to Florida, so there's that. I think that's pretty far east for me. But welcome to the show. Basically, we're going to go over the top 10 things that have sold in the month of April. There's going to be some awesome BOLO items in here. There's going to be a lot. You're going to see a theme for this month. There was some really high price sales this month, and also some just regular ones that most people have gone through and things like that. We got Toy Addict in the house. We got Gina Joseph. Welcome from Connecticut. How are you doing? I hope you're having an amazing Friday. Let's get right into it, because I don't know when the kitties are going to be up here in the attic, which is like 100 degrees up here. For those that don't know, I do my videos here up in the attic. It's spooky too. It's spooky up here. And so there's all that. We got aliens in the house. So welcome Susan A. from Arizona. Welcome, Arizona. It's a great state. I like the desert out there. A lot of people don't like the desert scenery, but I love the desert. We got Aaron Kludge in the house. Welcome, welcome. Toy Addict is asking if I have a green screen. Yes, I do. I have a green screen, and my shirt's green, so that's why the alien, you can almost see through him a little bit. Yeah. I guess you would call it an upgrade, so that you can just see me in the corner here and not see like a block. Now you can see my hand disappear. I guess that's not working. Anyways, let's get right into it. I know you guys just came for the info. You just came for the info. First up, this was our top item that we sold this month. And I got to actually go and look at the price real quick to make sure that we're on the same page here. This sold for $521. This is a solid gold 18-karat enamel brooch. Sometimes you come across this stuff every once in a while at a estate sale. Not so much anymore in thrift stores and things like this. As you can see, it's got a weird 18K. It's almost like 81. It's backwards, which I thought was pretty weird. That just has to do with the molding process. It had kind of like a signature stamp also. I couldn't even figure it out. All I know, it was pretty much solid gold. There was some enamel on it, and that's the painting that you see on the front. It was a little ship. I'm not exactly sure if the pearls were actually real pearls or not. Though one of the things to determine whether or not a pearl is real is the shape. If you have a whole thing of perfectly round pearls, well, actually, you can tell a lot, because you can tell when the plastic is covered with the iridescent paint and stuff like that. So that's a whole other subject for another time. This was actually an amazing sale. This thing weighed 21 grams. 21 grams. This thing was crazy. So we did take a best offer for $521 on this. We got Marquich7 from California. Hello, welcome, with the cactuses and the palm trees. Yes, Toy Addict. This is a very interesting piece. It was very cool. I think this is probably the heaviest gold item that I have seen in the shop since I've started working in November. And once again, for everyone that doesn't know, I am Chris from the American Cancer Society. I run their eBay page, and so 100% of the donations, the listings, and everything that sells goes to cancer research. They do housing, they provide wigs, support, rides to clinics. Like, it's an amazing company. I'm very stoked to be here. And so 100% of this stuff is gets donated by others, and then we use that money for cancer research and a lot of really cool things. So definitely check out the site below if you're looking for something. Like I said, it goes to a great cause, so I really appreciate it. But this is an amazing piece. It's pretty amazing that people, donate stuff like this. We're getting in a huge, I think like 1,000 comic books on Sunday, so I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. But it's pretty crazy. This is probably one of the most gnarliest gold items that I've ever seen. And for those that don't know, you got to use the magnet test at first, and then we have the scratch acid test to determine whether or not it's pure silver, pure gold. And for those that have been around gold for a long time, it has an unusual weight to it. Not like a lead where it's like a small thing that's super heavy, but gold actually has like a substantial amount of weight behind it. So it's pretty crazy, actually. Number 2 is this Swarovski optics binoculars. This sold for, I want to say this sold for around $500. Let me double check real quick. This sold for $467 with a best offer. $467. For those that don't know, always look up binoculars if you can look them up. And let me see if you show you on the front here. Usually there'll be a kind of like not a style number, but there'll be a name. And usually on the lenses on the back, let me see if they actually show that. On the back here, you can almost see it in the middle here in this little center round thing. It'll give you the actual focal length. This one's 10 by 40. So when you're looking these up, you look by the name of the company and the focal length, and then if it has a style number, this one's like Habishot SL or something like that. There's a lot of great binoculars out there that go for like, in this neighborhood of $400 or $500. I think there's some Carl Zeiss ones that go for a lot of money. There's some like Bausch and Lomb and other ones like that. But some of the ones that you're going to find at the thrift store are kind of like $10 and $20 ones. But always look them up because you never know. I found like $100 pair last year for like $5 at a thrift store, and I forget exactly what brand it was. It was an off-brand too. You want to look for Japanese and German manufacturers. Those will tell you right away whether or not you should dig a little further as far as research. And the overall quality. Those that have been around binoculars long enough understand what I'm talking about when it comes to quality. You'll know when you pick up a cheap pair of sunglasses. I was going to say those. You find those everywhere. When you pick up a high quality pair of binoculars, you'll know once you're looking at them. No pun intended. This is an interesting piece. This was from the year 1668. This was a King Charles antique sale of land from Essex. This was a pretty crazy, awesome find or a donation, I should say. This came with another one, an indentured servant one that we're still trying to sell on the site. 1668, that was a very long time ago, over 300 years ago. And so it's a pretty crazy document. It's in English. I've tried to read this whole thing through, and the handwriting is just so woefully tight together. It's just really hard to read. You literally had to pick out every single word to read the whole thing. I wish it was legible as far as, for me reading it, because it was really cool and very interesting, a little piece of history. And of course, we have the witnesses on the back that signed this was a legal document back in the day. As we can see here, what was cool is it also had the what do they call this? It's almost like a seal. This thing actually looks like a dried up turd, but it's not a dried up turd. Maybe it might be a dried up turd. Who knows? Maybe they were using turds to seal documents back in the day. That might have been a thing, but those are pretty cool too. The other one we have actually has a legible seal, and those were kind of like a way to determine, that the deed or whatever hasn't been opened, and it's got the original signatures and all that kind of stuff, and people that have signed for it. Really cool item for sure. Very unique item. Definitely look out for weird stuff like this. This sold for $339. And like I said, it's a very weird kind of document, and you do come across these from time to time. They'll usually be framed, and so that's what kept this thing in such nice condition over the years. Is it wasn't a frame, and I actually did a video on this, unboxing this, because you never know what's inside those frames. Once you pop them open, there could be the Declaration of Independence that is worth like $1 million, $3 million. For those that don't know, when the Declaration of Independence was originally signed, I think it was 1776. There was 200 original copies that were produced. So from the original, there was 200 copies. Those 200 copies, there's only like a handful of them that are known to exist, like literally like 3 or 4. And those pop up every once in a while at garage sales. Like the last one popped up at a garage sale. A guy bought a frame. He just wanted to use the frame. It had some weird picture in the front. He cracked it open, and sure enough, one of those documents was in the back. I want to say he got like $3 million for it because it was in amazing condition at auction. So I'm telling you, there's money out there. The money is out there. The treasures are out there, and I think that's one of the best things that I enjoy about these, being in the reselling business is a treasure. I've found treasures before, nothing crazy. I found a pair of statues that I sold for $5,000. That was probably the best find I've ever had. I've had multiple $1,000 sales, but you know, that $5,000 sale, and I've talked about that before in the past. I never really actually dove deep into that because it's actually a niche that really no one knows about, and I'm not trying to keep that niche from anyone, but it's one of those things where I have it saved in a bunch of places in case one of those things pop up, because I would even say less than 1% of the reselling community even knows about that this particular thing exists. Landshark Pickers in the house. What is up? How you doing? Good evening to you. By the way, Landshark Picker has a pretty awesome channel if you want to go and right-click his name and see what's up. He's a very awesome dude. He's got an app that just came out, so you can definitely check out all that information. And my phone's already beeping. Next up, we have this Hebrew Jewish bracelet. This is 14 karat yellow gold, 13.8 grams. And one of the themes of this month is we sold a lot of jewelry. Some of you might have heard the story I was talking about on another channel the other day about how I turned a $50 sale into a $1,100 sale, which was actually pretty crazy when you think about going from $50 to $1,100. One lady that was a repeat customer bought a ring for $50. And I said, hey, you know, I've seen you bought some stuff before. If you want to go and look through our stuff and make us an offer, I'll gladly take, look at your offer and accept any good offers. And she went and bought this, bought that brooch that we saw, and bought like a bunch of other gold. And so that was a pretty crazy sale. This was actually part of that sale. We sold this for $303. So you'll see that, one of the things that has been selling quite well for us, and for anyone that's out there in a reselling world, you know that gold and silver sells through very quickly, very fast. So that's one of those things to definitely look out for. And I always say, do your magnet test. You got to do your acid scratch test and all that for determining what it is. I put a call out to the community because I didn't know exactly what this says in Hebrew. And so if you know what it says and you're watching this on the back end, or now, please let me know in the comments below. We were trying to figure that out and I couldn't quite figure it out. Speaking of jewelry and gold, we got this vintage 14 karat gold Crown Star Russia ring and earring set. This thing was actually really cool. And you guys that are watching right now are going to learn a little bit of something right now. Is antique gold is not going to be stamped with any kind of hallmark. So that's just a word of the wise out there. I'm not an expert at jewelry, but the amount of stuff I've been doing with jewelry over the last year, I would know how to pick this kind of stuff up out of a scrap jar, especially if I see it. So a lot of the people that are at Goodwill or at estate sales or at thrift stores and things, sometimes they're going to let this kind of stuff slip through the cracks and think that it's not real gold because it's not marked. So that's going to be your kind of pro tip, is to know like what to look for as far as antique jewelry that's not marked. You know, it's funny, as I said, this thing wasn't marked, and it's marked 14K on the on the little stopper. That's what I meant to say too, is if you, one of the other pro tips about vintage jewelry is if you see that they have screw on buds for the earrings, that usually will determine whether or not it's legit gold or not, because there's a regular earring is not going to have a fancy screw on tip, because you don't want these to be lost because they're valuable. So that's another thing to look out for if something's not marked. If it's got screw on, I don't even know what they call them, ear plug stopper things. Any women in the audience, let me know what those things are called for sure. And let's see here. Texas girl treasures would be jealous. Yeah. She knows a lot about stuff too. Aaron Cludge is saying Russia acquired the equipment after World War II, so they also have good binoculars. Oh, yeah. World War II binoculars are definitely things to look out for. Marquise is saying, I remember, Chris, when you found treasures at Goodwill from Hollywood. Yeah, I wonder what that was. Thingamajiggers. But anyways, the pro tip for this piece is just remember that antique gold's not going to be marked sometimes. And if you see the screw-on backs on earrings, those are usually 99% indicators that it's real gold or diamonds in the earrings. So just be on the lookout for that stuff. Next up, we have this Deana Dthe. It's like some weird dress from the 80s or 90s. It's a two-piece. It's like kind of like a, I don't even know what you would even call this thing. It's like Jamaican, maybe. Fiesta, Mardi Gras. I remember when the ladies saw this dress in the donation bin, and they were like, kind of like, what, you know, and one lady actually knew the brand, but they thought I could not sell this dress. They all had bets that I could not sell this dress. And I said, you know what, I'm going to sell this dress. Let's see how much I got for this thing. I took a best offer for $175. This was one of those crazy items that surprisingly sold to other. You know, you could sell anything if it's people are looking for it. To me, this is just a very unique dress. You know, it could be used for a costume. As you can see here, I put in Halloween. I should have put in Halloween costume in this thing. Also, movie props is another good term to use sometimes, but this sold. And, you know, it's very well put together. So keep a lookout for this weird stuff like this. You never know where you'll find it. Next up, we have this Mont Blanc pen. We talked about this one before. This sold for $166. This is a vintage Mont Blanc. It's probably from the late 80s or the early 90s. And it wasn't solid gold or anything, or this would go for actually a crazy amount of money. For those that want some pro tips on this, the nib is what this thing's called on the tip. The tip where the ink comes out is called the nib, and the nib will have a number. It's usually a 3-digit number, and that'll let you know exactly, kind of point you in the right direction of the style of the pen. Though you can interchange some of the nibs if you're like, oh, I don't know what this pen is. Like, of course, you know what it's a Mont Blanc because it's going to have the Mont Blanc logo on it. You should already know that. But if you're trying to like kind of specifically kind of narrowing it down to a specific thing, those nib numbers will help you out a lot. For those that don't know, this is a fountain pen. It takes ink. As you can see here, it's brand new. The centerpiece doesn't have any dry crusties or liquid ink. Sometimes you'll find these vintage pens that the ink is still in there. This thing's brand new. Comes with all the box and paperwork. And like I said, we sold this for $166. So keep a lookout for Mont Blanc pens. They're definitely highly collectible. You could find gold ones out there, solid gold ones. They're out there. They go for a crazy amount of money. Next up, we have this Benny Hill Complete Mega Set. This is a DVD set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cases of DVDs were in this thing. This was 18 discs. If you ever get DVD sets and they're loose, just make sure that they're not scratched to hell. Make sure all the DVDs are there. So this set, this particular set had 18 discs. Of course, you want to take them out, make sure they're all there, especially on the higher end. I mean, you want to actually do this on everything that you're selling, to be honest. Especially the higher end thing. This sold for $163. This was a crazy sale. Crazy DVD sets are still out there. Word of the wise for DVD sets is usually the obscure the DVD set, the most money it goes for. Now, I'm not saying like every obscure set's going to be worth something, but it at least leads you down a path where you're like, should I look? I have a whole pile of this stuff and I only have like 2 minutes. Look up the stuff that's the weird stuff first, and then look up the stuff like, I don't know, Saved by the Bell or whatever. You know, some of the newer Saved by the Bell. I don't even know why I use that. I don't even watch TV. So whatever new shows out right now, definitely look out for those. Those are usually don't sell for that great of a price, but these odd shows, and these things are out there. I find DVD sets at Goodwill all the time. So even though Goodwill is scanning and doing all that kind of stuff to like take away all the good stuff to find, there's still stuff that they let through the cracks, especially DVD sets. So keep an eye out for those. Next up, we have this Gucci watch. This is a multicolored bezel. The watch didn't work, or this thing would have went for a lot more than what it did. This went for $134. This was a set, as you can see here. It had some kind of surface wear to it. Wasn't working. You could definitely try to put a new battery in this thing and see if it works and all that kind of stuff. So just look out for Gucci, of course, and Gucci watches, and I don't really have to say much about that. Gucci's, like I said, like I said a million times before, Gucci and Prada and a lot of that stuff is mass produced as far as knockoffs. So just kind of compare it to authentic pieces if you don't know if it's authentic or not. Next up, we have this 1880s crab wall plate. This thing's weird, right? Sold for $135. This weird crab plate thing. I wouldn't want this in my house. I don't know who would want this in their house, but it's an older style of things that people liked, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Maybe someone that owns a restaurant wants this hang this in their restaurant. I don't know. It's collectible. I don't like it. It's weird, right? Can I get it right? Is it weird or no? Weird stuff. Auction Professor likes this. Of course he does. Don would probably like make a mold of this and then like paint it and sell it. This stuff's too weird for me. I just can't hang with the crabs on a plate. It's just too weird. But the stuff's very collectible, obviously. Don's saying it's a diorama. Oh, don't make me cough, man. I had the flu last week. It was horrible. I'm still like recovering. But that's too funny. Let's see what we got here. Toyex in the house. As far as she knows, they're just called earring backs, and that's what we're talking about, the earrings. They're just called earring backs, so look out for the screw-on ones. Those are usually an indicator of that. So Don's in the house. He says hi. Marquise is saying, oh, yeah. Okay, so Marquise is saying about the $5,000 statues that I found 2 years ago, that they remember that. And I kept meaning to do a video on those things, and I never did. But that was the best find that I've ever found and ever sold. And I paid $50 for the pair. That's the crazy part. So that's pretty crazy. Dan says, I'm confused. American Cancer Society. Yes, I'm actually a full-time employee of the American Cancer Society. I run their eBay business. We have a few employees under us that do some great listing and stuff like that. I'm technically my position is eBay hub manager. I run the American Cancer Society's eBay page, which is a great job. Like, it's an amazing job. It's cool to see the other side of everything. I've known about the other side of everything as far as like, donations and thrift shops and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy to have a real insider's look at how the thrift shop industry works, and it's very cool. And I'm always pulling stuff out that could definitely go through the radar and stuff like that. So that's pretty funny. Aaron Claude just saying W. I don't know what that means. But for those that are like, oh, Chris is working for the American Cancer Society. We're never going to find anything good in the Discovery Shop. There's tons of stuff that I find every day. I put out a Burberry shirt the other day that sat on the rack for $9. It was like brand new for 2 days before someone found it, and I was just like, it's kind of funny. I was wondering how long someone was going to wait to find this thing. And I thought about doing some YouTube videos about that kind of stuff, about the crazy stuff that's in the shop that is very valuable. Mary McQueen says, my son is in Oceanside. How as far as a shop from there? Oceanside, I think the closest shop might be Santa Monica or Beverly Hills. Definitely go to the cancer.org/discovery shops. There's like I want to say there's 48 shops in California. There's some up north. There's a few here in Southern California, and there's some in San Diego. So definitely go and look those up. And I'm not there at those other stores every day, so that's where I found those statues. Is that one of them? Oh, anyways, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. I got enough. I can't talk no more. My voice is I'm done. It's Friday. I hope everyone had an amazing week. I really appreciate everyone's support. You guys are amazing. You're the only reason why I do this. I don't make a ton of money off my channel. I don't. I don't make anything. I do it for you guys. I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, and just sharing, the knowledge is what I'm all about. So if you do appreciate that, click the like button. Hope everyone has an amazing weekend. I'll be back in the shop tomorrow. So if anyone's in the Burbank area, I'll be in the shop tomorrow from 10 to maybe 2 or 4. So definitely come and stop by and say hello. Once again, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler, and we'll see you next time. Take care.